Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be individually ranking all 15 idol plays for my first 5 seasons. I'll be ranking them based on their effectiveness, whether they improved or hurt the player's game, and how many more rounds they lasted after playing said idol, and if the idol had any long-lasting impacts that ultimately changed the outcome of the season. There are 15 idols played so far in the series, and the ranking will be split into 4 segments. Idol wastes will take up spots 15 to 12, expiring idol plays are 11 to 9, 8 to 5 are successful idol plays, and the top 4 idols will be classified as game-changing idols, which greatly affected the season's outcome for better or for worse. If it wasn't already obvious, I'm going to be heavily covering these seasons, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I would advise watching my first 5 seasons first. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. Starting off at number 15, the worst idol play of my channel was Season 4, Fabio playing an idol for himself at the final 6. I genuinely find this play funny, because it was evident that Fabio had no idea what was going on at this tribal. He negated 0 votes and casted a stray vote on me, and he admitted his paranoia from this idol a few moments after he played it. The vote count was 3 votes Star, 2 votes Jonathan, and 1 vote for myself. Number 14 is Ozzy playing an idol for himself at the final 8 of Season 5. This is pretty straightforward. Ozzy was in a majority of 5 and made a bad idol play, negating 0 votes for himself. Even though the idol itself was a bad play, I rank it above Fabio's because Ozzy still got out who he wanted, and Ozzy remained in control for the remainder of the season. The vote count was 5 to 3. Number 13 is Raging playing an idol for herself at the final 11 of Season 5. Raging negated 3 of 11 votes, which doesn't seem like a lot, but based on how the votes were split this round, Tiny went home with only 4 votes. What happened was me, Raging, Ozzy, and Natalie formed an alliance come the merge, and we were unsure where the rest of the votes were going to go, especially because just about the entire cast was newbie players that aren't very active. Even with the mystery of what the opposing alliance was going to do, Raging had 2 idols at this point and understandably played 1. Unfortunately, wasting this idol eventually came back to haunt her as she was unable to save herself at the final 5, but that'll be covered more with her second idol play in this season. The vote count was 4 votes for Tiny, 3 votes for Raging, 2 votes for myself, 1 vote for Commando, and 1 vote for P. Diddy. Number 12 is the first idol of 5 on the list by yours truly. This one is a Season 3 idol at the final 8 where I negate 2 votes. There were 2 reasons why I played an idol here. The first and more obvious reason is that at this point of the game, the tribe division was me, Raging, Abby, and Sandy on one side, and Lethal, Watermelon, Samuel, and Tank on the other. I knew that Watermelon and Lethal were voting me, so I assumed that Samuel and Tank would tag along, not wanting to lose anybody from their side. The second and more complicated reason I played an idol is because I received 2 idols before this tribal council. One idol that I found on the island with Raging, and the second one Sandy gave me to protect myself at this tribal. They both knew that I had an idol, but neither one of them had any clue that I was holding on to a second. By burning one, I was able to make my second idol completely invisible, which is why this is the highest ranked play of the Idolway segment. I stayed in control for the rest of the season afterwards. The vote count was 4 votes Watermelon, 2 votes myself, 1 vote for Sandy, and 1 vote for Abby. Starting off the expiring idols at number 11 is Tion playing an idol for himself at the final 5 during Season 2. He's in the top position at this point of the game, and he's still able to vote me out regardless of the idol. So essentially, there were no pros or cons to playing it. He gets no votes. The vote count was 2 votes for myself, 2 votes for Allie, and 1 vote for Ice. The tiebreaker was 2 votes for myself and 1 vote for Allie. Number 10 and number 9 were played at the same tribal council during the final 5 of Season 5. Number 10 is Natalie playing an idol for herself. She gains no votes, and her ally Raging goes home. However, if she played her idol on Raging, there would have been a tie and she would have gone on the revote. So the best case scenario was to just play it for herself in case me and Ozzy did vote for her. Number 9 is me playing an idol for Ozzy. I negated 2 votes and basically prevented Natalie to play her idol on Raging with this move. The vote count was 3 votes for Raging and 2 votes for Ozzy. And now we move on to the successful idols. These were idol plays that actually were used successfully, but had no real impact on the game and only delayed the inevitable for these players. Number 8 is me playing an idol for myself at the final 6 of Season 4. Here, the votes are split 3 ways. Jonathan, myself, and Lethal all received 2 votes. There was a possibility I got voted out in the revote, but looking back at the season, I made a mistake by voting Lethal, instead of breaking the tie and voting for Jonathan. This way I would have had my idol for the final 5 and had a shot at winning the game. However, I played it for myself, pushed to got Lethal out, and got voted out the very next tribal council. The vote was 2 votes for myself, 2 votes for Lethal, and 2 votes for Jonathan, and the revote was 3 votes for Lethal and 1 vote for Jonathan. Number 7 is me playing an idol for Liam at the final 10 of Season 1. This was a flashy move for sure, and from this play I was able to cement my alliance with Liam, who didn't fully trust me beforehand. Me, Liam, and Tion threw our votes on Passion, who had a lot of connections with the opposing alliance at this point. The problem with this idol is that I lost trust from Awesome and Cam, who rallied numbers to get me out at the final 8, and Liam was voted out immediately after. The vote count was 4 votes for Liam, 3 votes for Passion, 1 vote for Tion, 1 vote for Abby, and 1 vote for Ven. Number 6 is Lethal playing an idol for himself at the final 11 of Season 3, negating 6 votes. This could have easily been number 1 on the ranking if Lethal used this opportunity to take out a huge player. The reason that it's only number 6 and not higher is because Lethal throws his votes on Trix, who at this point of the game has no ties with anybody. If Lethal voted Gavin, who already received 2 votes at this tribal council, then the tribe division would be 5-4-1, and at that next tribal I would have been voted out, and the season would look entirely different. Because Lethal voted out a stray player, despite having the power to do something huge, he was unable to break the tie against me at Final 10, and went out at the Final 7 as soon as he lost an immunity challenge. The vote count was 6 votes for Lethal, 3 votes for Trix, and 2 votes for Gavin. Number 5 is Raging playing an idol for herself at the final 7 of Season 5, negating 5 of 7 votes. This one is pretty straightforward. Raging was in the majority alliance up to this point, where me and Ozzy decided to make our move on her. Impressively, Raging saw this coming, and with her and Natalie's vote, voted out Simon, who's been trying to get Raging out since the merge begun. This was an impressive play, but did not change the outcome of the game. Raging was voted out the very next tribal council. The vote count was 5 votes for Raging and 2 votes for Simon. Now for the top 4 idle plays. These plays not only saved the person using them, but they all had a major impact on how the rest of the game went. It elevated the players using them greatly. The first game-changing idle play at number 4 I actually could not record because my storage was full and my amateur self forgot to make room for the season. But anyways, it is Tion playing an idle for himself at the final 6 of Season 1. Tion negated 4 of 6 votes and took out Abby, who was his arch rival at this point of the game. There's no telling what would have happened at the final 5 of the season because Jericho disconnected after the idol was played. However, before he quit, I was determined to get Jericho out, who had the best game at this point of the season. Tion would have survived the final 5 vote, and because of his play, he got to the end and won the first season of the series. The vote count was 4-2. Number 3 is me playing an idol for myself at the final 5 of Season 3. After orchestrating a blindside and raging the previous tribal council, I was in a position where I was going to win the game so long as I got to the end. Everybody knew this and dogpiled their votes on me at this tribal council. I cast my sole vote on Tank, who has been gunning for me for almost the entire season, and I went on to win the game afterwards. Had I gotten home here, Sandy wouldn't have lost fire, and she most likely wins. The vote count was 4 votes myself and 1 vote for Tank. Number 2 is Lethal playing an idol for Nathan at the final 10 during Season 4. Merge hit for this tribal council, and Lethal had just returned to the game from Edge, so he would need to do something amazing to put himself back into the race to win. At this point of the game, the tribe division is 5-5. Nathan and Cloud had a vicious rivalry, so as long as Nathan was still in the game, Cloud would vote for him. Knowing this, Lethal negated his opposing alliance's votes against Nathan and got out Jeremiah. Since the merge was fresh, this idol play gave another opportunity to blindside Aiden at the final 9. These 2 losses were detrimental for me, Cloud, and Tion, and despite having just been voted out, for a brief moment, Lethal was the best player of the season. Unfortunately for Lethal, Jonathan flipped a second time, voting out Nathan. Without his shield, Lethal was voted out the following tribal. The vote count was 4 votes for Nathan, 4 votes for Jeremiah, 1 vote for Cloud, and 1 vote for Tion. And now for the greatest idol play of Seasons 1-5. The honor of the best idol play goes to Abby playing an idol for herself at the final 9 of Season 3. I like to call this move the final nail in the coffin for Lethal and his alliance. After losing Gavin in the previous tribal council to Rox, Abby was bound to receive 5 of the 9 votes next tribal. In saving herself, she took out Ven, who was the glue of Lethal's alliance and Abby's arch rival. Following this tribal, Lethal's alliance quickly fell apart, no longer voting together and getting picked off until only Samuel and Tank were left by the final 6. This was the reason me and Sandy were able to control for the rest of the season, and if this idol play never happened, Lethal's alliance would stay intact, and most likely it would have been the final 5 of the game. For this reason, there was no question that this idol play would be on the top of the list. The vote count was 5 votes for Abby and 4 votes for Ven. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you like this and if you want to see more ranking videos like this in the future. Maybe player rankings, season rankings. Let me know what you want to see. For now, I'm going to continue the series with 5 more seasons. Season 6 is fully recorded and should be released soon, so stay on the lookout if you're interested for that. Bye!